Hello, once more here again, sezojames, and we are here with the fourth tutorial of the Microsoft Excel Office Sheet. And today we want to cover a list of topics. One, which is the worksheet management, and two, which are the text functions. And for the worksheet management, we are going to cover how to insert, delete, rename a sheet. And also we are going to cover how to move and copy a sheet from one workbook to another workbook, or to take it out of a particular workbook. And we are going to learn how to freeze a pane and split windows, and also adjust our row height and columns width. Also, for the text function, we are going to cover concatenation, which is the text joint for the new version of Excel, the left, the right, the mid, and the length, which stands for the length of a particular text. The find, when you want to look for a particular name or a particular character in a worksheet. And we are going to cover upper case, lower case, and proper case. Let's dive into it. Now I will open my Microsoft Excel, open a workbook name, customer detail. For this, the customer detail, as you see the name here, customer detail Excel workbook. I created this workbook as a default workbook for this particular exercise. Now what I want us to do is to learn how to, first of all, insert a new worksheet into this workbook. Inserting a new worksheet into this workbook, for now you see we are having two worksheets inside this workbook, which is the customer detail. We have sheet 1 and we have sheet 2. Now, we just have to press this new sheet here, which is this plus button, to add a new worksheet. When we press it, you see we are having sheet 3. So now we have sheet 1, sheet 2, and sheet 3. But remember, they are not arranged in proper order. To arrange this one in proper order, we can just click on it, left click on our mouse, and then we drag it to where we want it. You see, when we drag it here and leave our left click on the mouse, it has positioned itself in front of the sheet 2. And when we take it again, we drag it here, you see it is showing a little icon. And when we drag it just after the sheet 3, we are having it after the sheet 3. But let's just put it in the right position here. So we are having sheet 1, sheet 2, and for sheet 3, we haven't inserted anything here yet. And we can have sheet 4, sheet 5, sheet 6, and so on and so forth. In Microsoft Excel, we also want to learn how to delete this sheet. Maybe we don't want all these sheets, we just want sheet 1 and sheet 2. We can delete this sheet by right clicking on it and then we press delete. You see now we have no more sheet 3 here. But if we want to delete all of these other sheets by combining it, we press Ctrl on our keyboard and then we left click on our mouse for each of the sheets that we want to delete, while our hand is on the control button, and then we right click and then we release the control button and then we press delete here. You see automatically we have successfully deleted multiple sheets from this workbook. Now we are left with only sheet 1 and sheet 2. For this sheet 1 and this sheet 2, we are going to use for this exercise. Now let's just learn how to rename this sheet. Maybe we don't want it as sheet 1 and sheet 2. We can right click on it then, and then we see we have rename. If we click rename here, we should type in the name. It is already showing us a blinking bar here that directly indicates where we should type the new name that we want for the sheet. I will press my space bar or backspace, and then I type it as customer customer sheet 1. So this is the name I want to give to my sheet, customer sheet 1. And then I press enter. You see now I'm left with customer sheet 1. And then we have sheet 2. I can also rename this one as I did for this one. Let's just rename it as C2. You see, when we press enter, you see now this one is C2 and this one is C1. This one is customer sheet 1. We also maybe want to give this particular sheet a color to distinguish it or to make it look different from this other sheet. So what we want to do, we right click on our mouse and then we see tab color here. When we drag the mouse on tab color, we see different colors. So we can now select any color that we want. For us here, we are going to select yellow. As we see now, this one is yellow and this one does not have a color. Now let's just try to give this C2 a color as tab color red, and we give it red. You see now we are having yellow and we are having red. That's the way to handle the sheet. Now we may want to copy this sheet, which is sheet 1. Sheet 1, maybe we want to duplicate it or we want to copy it here. We can right click on it, and then we are left with an option which is move or copy. By clicking move or copy, it is showing us this other dialog, which is move or copy dialog. I'm dragging it for us to see clearly. And for this move or copy dialog, it is showing us all the workbook that are currently active or open in Microsoft Excel here. This one is for us to copy to a new workbook. For this customer detail is the Excel book here that we are working on, as we see the name here, customer detail. Maybe we want to make another copy here. We can select this one. Let's see. We can click on this drop down and select the workbook where we want to copy it to. Let's say customer detail to the same workbook. We click it, we have selected it, and then it is showing us all the worksheets that are here in this particular customer detail Excel workbook. Maybe we want to move it to the end, or we want to move it in front of this one or in front of this one. We can do the placement as well. And then for us not to lose this particular copy here in this our workbook, we just have to click tick the create a copy. By clicking on create a copy, Excel will directly understand that we are not removing this worksheet from this workbook, but we are trying to copy it either in the same workbook or to another workbook. Now we can click OK, and you see here we have got another customer sheet 1, but this time it has given it a new name because we cannot have the same name of the worksheet inside the same workbook. So let's just do another copy, which will copy this worksheet out of this particular workbook to a fresh and new workbook. Now we can right click here again, and then we said move or copy, and then we click on our drop down. We said new book, and then when we click on new book as to be selected as the directory, you are seeing here it is showing that we have no worksheet into this particular workbook, that it is a blank workbook. And then when we press copy, it is not going to take this customer sheet 1 off from this detail. Rather, it will create a new copy separately. And then when we press OK, you see we are having a new workbook here, a fresh workbook. For this workbook, it's not saved. It is just showing book 1, so we can save it here, save as, and then we browse where we want to save it. We set downloads, and then we can save it as COST, and then we save. You see now it is now saved into my computer. So what we want to do next is to locate our previous workbook. Maybe you will be surprised. I'm not seeing my previous workbook. When you point on Microsoft Excel, you see we are having the customer detail Excel workbook here, and then we select it. We are back to our workbook that we were working on previously. So for now, let's just delete this customer worksheet. We delete it, and then we say delete. You see we are left with these 2 worksheets. Now maybe perhaps I want to move this customer C2 to that other workbook. Now I can right click on it, and then I press move, and then I can select the cost workbook here. You see already the cost workbook that we created just now, and then we can press OK. After we press OK, you see now we are having also in cost Excel the same C2, same as this one here for our customer detail. Let me just minimize it. Now, let me just minimize this workbook, and then you can see what I am trying to demonstrate here. So you see, this one is the customer detail workbook, and this one is the cost Excel workbook. So we have successfully moved the two worksheets into this other workbook. Now let me just open this one wide, and then we can learn how to freeze or unfreeze a column or a row. What do they mean by freeze? When you open an Excel workbook like this, and maybe you have done your work now till Z. Remember, on our computer, we cannot view Z because we are viewing just A here to R. But maybe we want to view till Z. So let me just randomly copy this data and paste it here for us to see what I want to do. Let me just randomly copy it here, as we see. Now, I've just randomly copied it. You see, the moment we are moving this worksheet here, this other data here is hiding. So let me just give it a color so that you will understand better. You see, the moment we are moving this workbook here, this other data is hiding. So if we want to locate this number here and the data right here on the zip, it becomes difficult. So what you want to do is either we minimize here, which will be very much difficult for the eye to see it. So instead of that, what you want to do, we want to freeze it. So we are going to freeze this number here, and then we scroll to the right so that we can see it. Now let me just do that. We start by pointing on the row that you want to freeze here, and then we come to view. On this view tab, we will come to freeze here, which is freeze pin, and then when we click on the drop down freeze pin, you see it is showing us how to freeze the top row and how to freeze the first column. So we click on freeze the first column. As you see here, it is directly showing you a pictorial view of what will happen. It is saying that it will keep the first column visible while scrolling through the rest, and then when you press on it, you see it has freeze this one. So if we move this one now, this row remains static. So when we click, you see it remains static. It's not moving. So this is the way to freeze your column. And now to unfreeze this one, you come again, view on your tab, view, you come to freeze, and then you see unfreeze here. You click on unfreeze. Now after unfreezing, when you scroll, you see the number column is going back to the left, and we are not able to compare it to the zip at all. So what we want to do here is to freeze the column. So let me just delete this data. I come to home and then say delete, and I successfully delete this data. And for this side of the pen, I want to freeze the top row. Maybe I want to scroll through the data from top to bottom, but I want it to maintain the row name. I want it to maintain the top row name. I want this top row to remain stagnant while I scroll through the data. But for now, this one is not happening. So what I want to do is to click on view, and then you come to freeze pane and you click freeze top row. By freezing top row, you can scroll through the data now, and then you see it is remaining stagnant as you work on it. Now we can directly adjust our row this way. If we want it much more wider, we can adjust it in different way, or we can highlight all and arrange it together. When we arrange it together, it's look colorful, and you see what we do to a particular set of column will occur to the other column. So that's the way to readjust your rows and columns. Now we want to learn how to split a window. Now, splitting a window, we can do it in different form. For me, in my daily work, I just press on this right hand side of my Microsoft Excel, and I drag it to this side of where the window is on the left, and then you see immediately it is showing a line between the screen. And then when I leave my left hand side of the mouse, you see it is showing me the different windows that I may want to compare this one with. And then when I click this other worksheet, you see I can work on them simultaneously.